Previously on Survivor Mediogalti Island. The Pathfinder tribes competed in a team immunity challenge called the Ruin Race, and when Sela fell off the course, it caused the Swords tribe to lose the challenge, go to tribal, and ultimately led to Sela being voted off of the Swords tribe. During all of this, Jarrell the Swashbuckler was also revealed to be a bit of a social bully. The next day, a terrible rainstorm began, drenching the whole of the island and leaving all three tribes miserable. The tribes were forced to compete on an obstacle course in the rain, and the prize was some unwelcome and thoroughly soaked firewood. Tensions continued to mount as Nahoa the Exemplar worked overtime to try to keep his tribe happy and healthy, and over at the Spells tribe, Lim the Bard was revealed to be the one who betrayed the other two captains at Captain's Call. A team immunity challenge featuring blindfolds, a maze, and a puzzle led to more bullying tactics by Jarrell and another narrow loss for the Swords tribe, causing the Swords tribe to go to tribal council twice in a row. An argument broke out between Amiri and Jarrell, and ultimately Jarrell was voted off, as they were seen as contributing to a bad mood around camp. Finally, after a couple of days, the sun came back out and the weather improved, leading to better spirits all around the island, and the tribes were able to compete in a reward challenge, the Gross Food Challenge, which led to an epic confrontation between Amiri the Barbarian and Fumbus the Alchemist. Fumbus narrowly won, and even Amiri acknowledged his success. However, after the Gross Food Challenge, a triple threat tribal council occurred, causing all three tribes to have to go to vote someone out. Ultimately, Amiri was voted off of the Swords tribe. Lim played an idol to protect himself, leading to Ija being voted off of the Spells tribe, and the Scrolls tribe, who previously had not been to tribal council, were badly divided, allowing Feya to lead a small contingent into voting off Yoon, much to the surprise of the tribe. The next day, the Pathfinder tribes competed in an obstacle course where they attempted to assemble a stone face on the front of some ruins. Unfortunately, during the race, some traps were triggered that had gone undiscovered by the production crew, putting the Scrolls tribe in particular in severe danger. Nahoa the Exemplar leapt into action, doing his best to save every member of the tribe, and he even managed to prevent Fumbus from being crushed by a spiked log. However, this led to Nahoa taking an injury himself, and ultimately Nahoa was forced out of the game due to a medical evacuation. Survivor Mediogalti Island continues, but what will happen next now that the tone of the game has changed due to these accidents? The story continues today on the Local Disaster Tour Guide. Hello travelers and tourists, my name is Mark and I am the Local Disaster Tour Guide. That's right, I am a storyteller who is enjoying telling a story for once on this channel. Welcome to part 3 of my New Year's special, What If the Pathfinder Iconics Competed on the Game Show Survivor? This is a fanfiction story starring 24 of the iconic characters from the Pathfinder setting that have been pitted in a fictional version of the game show Survivor in the lovely tropical paradise known as Mediogalti Island. For this series, I'm attempting to blend some of the fantastic writing from the people over at Paizo in the form of the backstory for the different iconic characters representing classes in Pathfinder, and I am blending that with some of the storytelling associated with the reality TV game show Survivor. This is a what-if scenario, and the outcome of this story is largely a result of my particular interpretation of how I think different events and actions might play out on the basis of what I know about both of these particular genres. In telling this story, at least for the moment, I'm operating under the assumption that it is the level 1 version of each of the iconic characters that is presently competing in the game, Though as this story progresses, there will be certain points where I allow the characters remaining in the story to level up, representing the things that they have learned as a result of the game. And allow me to say, while most of what happens in this story is a result of my own interpretation of events, there are a few places where I have actually allowed dice rolls and random chance to dictate some of the outcomes, and I will say I was pleasantly surprised on many occasions by how this story had developed. However, since this story is my version of this what-if scenario, I do invite you to join in the conversation and let me know what you think about how this story would play out. So let me know what story beats you agree with, what character decisions you think are on point, and where you think I might have gotten something wrong in this story. If there's a character that you think would have done much better, or much worse, be sure to let me know by jumping down to the comments section and leaving your thoughts down below. And yes, that is the quick segue into the YouTube stuff portion of this video. This is a special video that I'm doing in celebration of the New Year's, so if you enjoy content like this, be sure to like, share, subscribe, do all of the stuff that helps to support the channel. You can become a part of the local disaster tour guide community by checking out my free Discord or my Patreon. Both of those are linked in the video description. And if you are interested in reading up on the official Paizo backstories of any of the iconic characters that are used in this fanfiction, you will find a link to a page that has all of those in the video description as well. With all that out of the way, let's get started. Day 9 of Survivor Medio Galti Island opens up with a news update from Jeff the Goblin. He reports that the production team has worked overtime to investigate the ruins where the tribes were competing yesterday, and sure enough, more traps have been discovered that thankfully were not set off during the course of the game. Due to this unfortunate discovery, Jeff has made the decision not to have any more challenges at the ruins, and all future challenges will be hosted down at Challenge Beach proper. Additionally, since Nahoa has been removed from the game due to the medical emergency resulting from his injuries, the Immunity Challenge and Tribal Council for today have been cancelled. The tribes are being given a day just to relax, to recover, to kind of regroup from all of the insanity of the previous day. This ultimately leads to 24 hours of not much happening around the island, as all three tribes are just very down emotionally from the terrible accident that happened just a day before. The Swords tribe tries to focus on making their beach a little more defensible. The Spells tribe aren't doing much of anything. Lim the Bard is playing a little bit of music to try to lift spirits, but people really aren't responding. And over at the Scrolls tribe, the tribe is just devastated by the loss of their leader. Fumbus tries to ask a few people who is the new tribe leader going to be, and Droven the Inventor just kind of tells Fumbus they'll discuss it in the morning. There's no time to talk about it right now. The next day, day 10, sees a slow return to the actual game. Over at the Swords camp, Naumika wakes up early and sets out into the jungle to try to go idol hunting. She's gone for quite some time, and when she returns, everyone but Valeros is already awake. They see her come back, but since everybody is already moving and working, no one really has a chance to talk to her about her trip and try to gauge if she successfully found the idol or not. Over at the Scrolls tribe, Fumbus and Droven get up early to cook breakfast for the entire tribe, and it's not a particularly good breakfast, but everyone is at least grateful that they made the effort. Mauriciel seems particularly on edge this morning, but she really just brushes off anyone who makes an attempt to talk to her about what's going on. Meanwhile, at the Spells camp, Drugami the Leopard is finally warming back up to the rest of the tribe, and is allowing Lenny and the others to interact with them again. Lenny and Sione actually spend some time in the morning discussing what it's like living their life on the road, and some of the previous tensions between the two seem to have died down, at least for the moment. Later that morning, all of the tribes meet at Challenge Beach, where Jeff the Goblin introduces the next reward challenge by telling everyone he has a great idea for a game. The bad pun elicits a lot of groans. The challenge involves the teams working to stack heavy crates one on top of another in order to assemble a puzzle. Jeff the Goblin explains that while every tribe will have an opportunity to enjoy a nice buffet on the beach after the challenge, the winning tribe will have the opportunity to travel into the city of Illismagordi and have a nice hot spa day as an additional reward. And though Jeff the Goblin doesn't mention this particular fact, it is immediately apparent to all of the teams that this trip into the city represents another opportunity to negotiate for camp supplies for the winning team. The reward challenge itself is, unfortunately, not very competitive. Everyone can kind of tell that now that the ruins are no longer considered safe for challenges, that production rushed through the night to try to build new challenges for the teams to attempt, and the puzzle aspect of the Crate Idea puzzle game is not that complicated. This means that the Swords team easily wins the challenge, because even though Amiri and Sela are no longer on the team, the Swords team just still has a lot of strength present in the form of competitors like Valeros and Harsk, meaning that the Swords go pretty much unchallenged in this event. After the event is over, all three tribes sit down for a fantastic beach buffet, and Lim the Bard actually livens up the event by playing some dance music as well. After lunch is over, the tribes are truly starting to lighten back up and have some fun with the game again. Once lunch is finished, the Skrulls and the Spells tribe head back to their respective beaches, while the Swords tribe heads into Illismagordi for a nice day at the spa. Even the normally taciturn Harsk and Celtiel seem to appreciate this opportunity to take a really nice bath, and Valeros is just straight up living his best life. After the spa day is over, Valeros has the opportunity to do some simple trading on their way out of town. Still, they can't stay in town too long because there is going to be an immunity challenge this afternoon. Meanwhile, back at the beach for the Spells tribe, the tribe honestly doesn't have much to do. They had a really nice meal, but Lim has already played the immunity idol, so they know that that has already been found. So they just kind of realize that there's not much for them to do. So as a group, they just kind of decide to use this afternoon to get a lot of rest so that they will be in good shape for the immunity challenge later that day. At the Skrulls camp, the issue of electing a tribe leader comes back up again, and after some discussion, Droven, Feya, and Quinn are all being considered for the position of tribe leader. Fumbus the Alchemist enthusiastically declares his support for Droven to be the tribe leader, which basically immediately sinks anybody's willingness to elect Droven to the spot. Feya, reading that the tribe still has a lot of suspicion directed towards tribal leaders, also removes her name from the conversation, meaning that, by default, Quinn ends up being selected as the new leader, and most of the group seems happy with the idea of having such a calm and determined leader in the role. That afternoon, all three tribes meet back up at Challenge Beach, where the time has come for an immunity challenge, a game known as I've Got Your Back. This is honestly another hastily constructed challenge by the production team. In this game, each team leader is required to wear a large white robe, while the rest of the team is divided into defenders and shooters. The shooters are given blowguns and paintballs, and are tasked with trying to peg the other team leader with some paintballs, scoring some points each time they land a hit. The defenders, meanwhile, are given large wooden shields that they can use to try to protect their team leader and provide cover from the shooters on the other team. Despite being hastily constructed, at least at first, this game proves to be wildly popular, and all three groups are having some genuine fun. They're laughing, they're playing, they are having a good time with this. This is easily the most entertaining game so far, but after a bit it does become apparent that there are some clear physical advantages and disadvantages that are tilting this game. The Swords tribe, yet again, has a pretty strong advantage, this time in the form of the shooters for their tribe, who happen to be a ranger and a gunslinger. Combine this with the fact that one of their defenders is Valeros, who is a specialist in using shields, and their team scores an easy victory. Ultimately, the competition for last place boils down to a competition between the Skrulls and the Spells, and again, this outcome also comes down to a noticeable physical advantage, though a little bit of a different one in this instance. The leader of the Spells tribe, Lim the Bard, is small-sized, meaning that it is far easier for shooters on the other teams to target the leaders of the Scrolls tribe, Quinn the Investigator. Quinn the Investigator ultimately takes more hits, meaning that the Scrolls tribe loses the game and is forced to head straight to Tribal Council without even having the opportunity to head back to their beach first. This Tribal Council proves to be just as chaotic for the Scrolls tribe as their previous Tribal Council. The walk from the beach to Tribal Council did not offer much opportunity for strategy or gameplay, meaning that no plans are truly in place when the group arrives. Jeff the Goblin asks the Scrolls tribe who has stepped into leadership for the tribe now that Nahoa is gone, and Quinn is highlighted. However, when Jeff asks how Quinn is doing as leader, the only response he gets is an annoyed statement from Mios, who says, "Well, we're back here, aren't we?" This quickly turns into an argument, and Jeff the Goblin is ultimately forced to shout the group down to get them back under control. Quinn is extremely red in the face, he's mad at Mios, and many other tribe mates are equally upset. When the votes come in, they are scattered all over the place. Thea gets 1 vote, Droven gets 1 vote, Mios gets 2 votes, and Quinn gets 2 votes. Since there is a tie, the group is forced to re-vote, but this time only Mios and Quinn are eligible. The second vote is ultimately much clearer, with Quinn being voted out 4-2, meaning that his brief run as leader is over in a single day. Quinn doesn't even bother to speak as his torch is snuffed and he leaves the game. Day 11. The next morning arrives and the attitude at each of the camps is notably different. At the Swords camp, the tribe has become notably more paranoid, having doubled up on guard duty through the night and taking extra precautions to see to the safety of their tribe. This has unfortunately resulted in the tribe being a little bit more tired, meaning they get a slower start to their morning. Now Mika and Sajan were on the last watch of the night, meaning that they are able to enjoy a nice quiet conversation as the sun rises. Back at the Scrolls camp, after the chaotic tribal council that they had just been through, Droven struggled to sleep all through the night and ultimately left in the middle of the night to go for a walk under the stars. In the morning he returns just before sunrise and quietly wakes up Fumbus. He tells him, "Things have to change around here, I'm afraid. Won't be easy, but don't worry, I'll take care of it." When the rest of the Scrolls camp wakes up, Droven calmly but forcefully claims leadership of the camp, and nobody argues. Meanwhile, at the Spells camp, the tribe is continuing to lounge and take it easy, as beyond the basics of keeping their camp in order, there's really not a lot to do. So once again, Kira is up at dawn watching the sunrise, Lenny is curled up with Drugami, and the other members of the Spells tribe are all lounging by the fire and waiting for the day's events to begin. Later, when the tribes arrive at Challenge Beach, they find that Jeff the Goblin and the production crew have been forced to blend a reward challenge and an immunity challenge into a single event. Today, the teams will be playing a game of 10 pins. Since 2 events are being combined into one, this event is a little better organized, and Jeff the Goblin reveals that there will be a couple of prizes associated with today's game. The winning team will take some fresh blankets and pillows back to their beach, and each individual player will take home a number of silver pieces based on their best round of 10 pins during the course of the game. However, the team with the lowest combined score will lose the game and will face Tribal Council later that evening. Once the game of 10 pins begins, this challenge proves remarkably tense. No team has a clear advantage. Harsk and now Mika do give a strong performance on behalf of the Swords, but Mariciel, Kira, Fumbus, and Lim all prove incredibly proficient at this game. The final throw of the game comes down to a head-to-head between Kira and Mariciel. And, to everyone's shock, Mariciel's final shot is a complete miss. The Scrolls are going to Tribal yet again. Back at the Scrolls Beach, Mariciel is in some hot water over her final throw. How could she miss such a simple shot? Mauricio claims that her nerves got the best of her and it was a simple mistake. She dropped the ball too soon. However, Mios quickly begins to spread information around the rest of the tribe. Mios lets the tribe know that Mauricio and Kira are married. Mauricio soon catches wind of this, but does a terrible job trying to deny the information, and it's not long before the entire tribe believes that Mauricio threw the game in an effort to protect her wife. Adding fuel to the fire, Mios begins to spread a rumor that Mauricio is hoping to flip to the larger Spells tribe as soon as the merger happens. It's not too long before everybody in camp knows exactly how this vote is going to go. That evening, Jeff the Goblin welcomes the Skrulls tribe back to council once again, and Jeff even notes that Mauricio seems rather quiet upon arrival. Jeff goes to ask Mauricio some questions, and Droven calmly interrupts Jeff and says, "No need to call her out. We're ready to vote." Jeff nods and allows voting to begin. The vote is over rather quickly, and no one is surprised by the outcome. Mios 1 vote, Mauricio 4 votes. Mauricio says a quiet thank you to Droven, and her torch is snuffed, and she leaves. Day 12 opens with a surprise for all three camps, as right at sunrise, a boat approaches each beach, calling everyone to a surprise meeting. Oh, and as an additional note, everyone should bring their personal effects with them. Is this the merge? Already? When they arrive at the beach, Kira immediately notices and is shocked to realize that Mauricio is no longer in the game. At the beach, Jeff the Goblin welcomes the players and informs them that the time has come for a classic Survivor twist, the tribe swap. Every team captain will choose one player from their tribe to stay on the tribe with them, and then all remaining players will randomly draw stones and be redistributed across the tribes. For the Swords tribe, Celtiel chooses Sajan to stay with him, and Mios, Korakai, and Naumika draw for the Swords. For the Skrulls tribe, Droven naturally chooses Fumbus to stay with him, and Valeros, Lenny, and Thalion draw for the Skrulls. As for the Spells tribe, Lim chooses Sione to stay, and Feya, Kira, and Harsk all draw for the Spells. Immediately after this, the new tribes are sent into a new competition, a reward challenge called What a Drag. 2 players are instructed to stay on the beach where they are tied to heavy boulders. Meanwhile, the other 3 players are out in the ocean, swimming back and forth between a series of buoys and collecting rings, which they return to the players on the beach. The players on the beach then attempt to drag the boulders towards a series of scoring poles where they attempt to place or toss the rings into place, scoring points for each ring that is successfully placed on a pole. Some rings are worth more points but require a farther swim, and there is the obvious stressful decision of deciding how far to attempt to drag a boulder before attempting to toss a ring into place. The teams are informed that the winning team will get 2 hand-pulled carts to help transport items to and from their beach. The second team will get 1 cart, and the losing team will get nothing. When the game begins, the Skrulls tribe ends up with a powerful advantage. Valeros and Droven have ended up on the same team, and they both take a position up on the beach dragging the heavy boulders, which they are easily able to do. Lenny, Fumbus, and Thalion swim for the rings, and the team establishes a fantastic rhythm, scoring points at an easy and healthy pace. The Swords tribe actually find themselves in a bit of a weird position, as due to the swap, they're actually at a bit of a physical disadvantage. Celtiel and Mios are reasonable at the swimming portion of the challenge, and Korakai is a gifted swimmer, but they lack the physical powerhouses that their tribe would normally possess, meaning that Naumika and Sajan are left to try to drag boulders. Thankfully, with her experience as a gunslinger, Naumika has the aim necessary to land several long-distance shots with rings, so she still scores several points. As for the Spells tribe, Kira and Harsk are left to do the heavy lifting, dragging the boulders back and forth, but the Spells tribe do not have any incredibly strong swimmers, such as Korakai, meaning that ultimately the group really struggles to gather enough rings to even try to score points. When the final score is counted, the scrolls have a commanding victory, and the swords are in a distant second place. The spells are very clearly in last place and are deeply frustrated by the outcome of this challenge. Before the tribes leave the beach, Jeff the Goblin gives them another surprise. Tonight, all 3 of your tribes will be going to council again. It's another triple threat tribal council. At the beach for the new Swords tribe, Celtiel and Sajan quickly decide that they need to keep their original tribe as strong as possible, and now Mika is happy to continue working with Sajan. This gives them a solid 3 votes and control at Tribal Council, but who should they vote for? In a side conversation with Sajan, Mios points out that the original Spells tribe currently has the most remaining players. Over at the beach for the new Scrolls tribe, Thumbus is quickly becoming best friends with Drugami the Leopard, and they are playing from the moment they get back to the beach. Additionally, Valoros's happy-go-lucky demeanor is leading to several easy conversations with Droven, and they are getting along wonderfully. Thalion is technically there too. When the new Spells tribe returns to their beach, Kira is on a mission, and that mission has almost nothing to do with the upcoming vote. Kira pulls Fea to the side, quite obviously in front of everyone, and demands to know from Fea what happened to Mariciel. Sensing an opportunity, Fea offers to cut a deal. She says, "Convince your team not to vote me out tonight, and I'll tell you what happened." With Lim and Sione's approval, Kira is given a name, Mios. That night, all 3 tribes report to Tribal Council, and Jeff the Goblin attempts to talk to each of the tribes about how they're adjusting to their new tribe mates. Valoros and Thumbus are both exuberant and are carrying on about how much fun they're having, but when it becomes obvious that no one else has much to say, Jeff quickly moves on to the votes. As before, each tribe will have a chance to vote, and the other tribes will have the opportunity to observe quietly on the sideline, but the other tribes are not allowed to influence the vote that is occurring. Additionally, because the tribes have been rebalanced and each tribe is now the same size, the order of the votes has been randomized. The Scrolls tribe ends up voting first, and a pattern for the evening is set when a very one-sided vote comes through. Thalion 4, Thumbus 1. Thalion actually seems relieved to have been voted off and asks, "Can we finally get someone to see about these purple stains now? I'm worried this is going to be permanent." The second vote is the new Swords tribe, and honestly there's more tension on the sidelines than there is with the actual tribe. Again, it's a very one-sided vote. Korakai is voted out 4-1 over Celtiel, and when Korakai realizes that the vote is going against them, they let out a sad squawk and take their torch up to be snuffed, and then walk off into the night. The last tribe to vote is the new Spells tribe. Harsk is taciturn during the short meeting, and when the votes come through, the reason is obvious. The vote is quick and very one-sided. Harsk 4, Thea 1. Harsk gives Jeff a solemn nod as his torch is snuffed, and he too marches off into the night. Day 13. The new tribes spend a single night at their new camps before being woken up by the arrival of boats right at sunrise again, asking them to come to the challenge beach again and to bring their personal effects again. Jeff the Goblin may have teased the merge before, but today it's finally happening. At the challenge beach, Jeff informs the players that the time has come to combine into a single tribe, which will now be called the Pathfinders. From this point on, players are all playing for themselves alone, and from this point on, all players voted off will be part of the final tribal jury. The tribes celebrate becoming one large group of Pathfinders, and the chef from the previous beach buffet episode returns to host another wonderful meal. The groups are mixing and chatting and dancing and eating, and the atmosphere is genuinely exuberant. With one notable exception, Kira does not seem to be in a good mood. Like before, Lim is helping lend to this atmosphere with some fantastic music. Jeff the Goblin tells the group that there will be no tribal council tonight, so they should head to their new beach home and work on building their camp together. Once the new Pathfinder tribe arrives at their new beach, building a new camp proves to be, in a word, challenging. Celtiel wants to build the new camp much like the old Swords camp, with an emphasis towards defense and the safety of the group. And while Droven can certainly see the wisdom of that plan, Valeros is sick of being on guard all the time. Nothing bad has happened, he says. All we've been doing is losing sleep and stressing ourselves out. Let's focus on the game and not these crazy what-ifs. Another conflict erupts when Drugami the Leopard and Dodgy the Fox quickly discover that they do not get along, and Lenny and Fea are both quick to blame the other owner for the hostilities between the two animals. Of course, over on one side of the camp, Kira is absolutely stewing. Her normal, kind, and helpful demeanor is gone, and she is barely containing her frustrations. It's not long before she pulls aside Lim and Celtiel to talk strategy instead of anything related to camp life, and her pitch is simple. The original swords and the original spells should work together to take out the original Skrulls tribe, starting with Mios. Lim likes this plan, though he asks, why not start with Droven? Kira's harsh glare convinces Lim that Mios should probably be the first to go, and while Celtiel is a little more reluctant about this arrangement, he recognizes the chance to join a strong majority alliance, so he is willing to cut Mios even if they had worked together just the day before. As for the larger camp, Valeros, Fumbus, and Lim quickly become the cheer squad for the new Pathfinder camp. Fumbus proves especially popular when he donates the remaining supply of ale and wine from the original Skrulls camp to the new Pathfinder camp, with several members of the tribe, especially Lenny, appreciating the levity that the gift brings. That's not to say that the gift is universally well received. Some people, like Celtiel, do consider the addition of alcohol to be a bit irresponsible. In all of this, though, Celtiel does note an opportunity to take advantage of the illiterate Fumbus. Early on in the day, he approaches Fumbus and says, "Hey Fumbus, I have a list of supplies that I need Sione to bring up from the beach. Can you run this list over to her?" Celtiel hands the list to Fumbus, and Fumbus scurries off to help. But naturally, Fumbus takes some time to read the supplies list, and after delivering the supplies list to Sione, Fumbus immediately reports back to Droven about the new alliance that is forming. Day 14. The time has come for a classic Survivor event. The new Pathfinder tribes is competing in the Survivor auction. Every member of the tribe will be given some amount of silver pieces based on their performance in the earlier game of 10 pins, and this ranges from Naumika with 10 silver pieces all the way down to Droven and Lenny, who have only 4 silver pieces apiece. Jeff does inform the players that there are 3 mystery boxes in the game, and after a player wins a bid, they can swap out the prize that they won for one of the mystery boxes. They are told one of the mystery boxes is empty, one has a fantastic prize, and one mystery box will prove extremely disappointing. Players are also told that they can hold on to their silver as well, should they want it on hand for future trips to town that might be part of future reward challenges. For round 1 of the Survivor auction, as soon as the covered platter comes out, Drugami the Leopard is immediately excited, and Lenny is rolling her eyes, but decides to bid. No one challenges Lenny, and she wins a platter of steamed fish for 3 silver. Everyone gets a good laugh as Drugami gladly claims the first fish and relishes it immensely. For round 2, a small silver platter is offered up, and its size makes everyone nervous. Finally, Fumbus offers a bid of 4 silver, but is quickly outbid by Lim at 5 silver. No one else wants to jump in, and Fumbus is practically sweating bullets, but ultimately Fumbus decides not to go any higher. Lim wins, and a small potion bottle is revealed, a greater ration tonic which can keep a person well fed for a week. Lim swiftly downs the tonic and is surrounded by a healthy magical glow. For round 3, 2 large platters are brought out and one is uncovered, revealing a large plate of cookies. Lenny immediately bids her last silver, and now Mika is right behind her with a bid of 2 silver, and then Jeff the Goblin has the time to inform them that both platters are in fact being bid on together. Mios offers 4, Thea offers 5, and then the bidding stalls out. Thea ultimately wins, and the second platter is revealed to hold a large supply of milk to go with the cookies and a rolled up note containing a clue to the last hidden immunity idol. There's enough milk and cookies for everyone, and Thea can also have the clue. But then Jeff makes an offer. No one is considering the hidden boxes. If Thea doesn't take the platters, she can pick 2 boxes and keep the one she prefers. An instant argument breaks out, with almost everyone trying to persuade Thea to share the milk and cookies. Thea contemplates for a healthy minute, but ultimately decides to share some milk and cookies and, of course, take the clue. Round 4 is another small platter, and a quick bidding war erupts between Kira and Valeros, but Kira has more money and ultimately wins with a bid of 7 silver. However, when the lid is lifted from the platter, it is revealed to be a small water skin. Kira is notably disappointed. With only the briefest consideration, Kira opts to trade her water skin for one of the mystery boxes instead. Tension is high as Kira selects one of the 3 mystery boxes, and after a dramatic stall from Jeff the Goblin, the mystery box is opened and revealed to be an extra vote that Kira can use at any tribal before the final 5. Cheers erupt across the Pathfinder tribe as Kira won the luck of the draw in this moment. On round 5, Droven easily wins a fruit platter for 3 silver. On round 6, Sione wins a beautiful necklace for 5 silver, and swiftly tucks it away before anyone can cast Detect Magic. For round 7, a huge platter comes out, and now Mika goes all in, winning a special roast pig supper that she can share with 3 tribe mates of her choice later that evening, and she even gets a small sample of the cooked pork for immediate consumption. On round 8, Celtiel seems to strike out when he spends 5 silver on a plate of boiled grasshoppers. However, Celtiel begins to happily munch away on the grasshoppers and says, "Joke's on you, I actually enjoy the crunch of these things." Sione does not seem to be a fan of Celtiel's dietary proclivities. During round 9, Valeros and Droven get into a short bidding war, but Valeros ultimately wins a spyglass for 5 silver. During round 10, Mios wins a large platter containing 2 sacks of rice when he outbids Droven at a cost of 6 silver. And then, after round 10 of voting, Sajan stands up and declares, "Now that everyone else has wasted all of their money, I can claim the last item without contest." Then, Jeff the Goblin looks at Sajan and says, "All of the items have been bid on, and nothing more remains." Everyone laughs, and for the first time in the entire season, Sajan seems truly flustered and embarrassed. When the new Pathfinder tribe returns to their beach, conversations quickly turn to the immunity idols in the game. 2 immunity idols are unaccounted for, the ones that would have been hidden at the Scrolls and Swords tribe respectively. And of course, now that Thea has a clue, a 3rd idol is also very much in play that is hidden somewhere near this camp. Everyone immediately scatters looking for the last immunity idol that might influence the game. During the idol hunting, Thea and Lim meet up, and Thea begins to discuss the fact that she is done with the Scrolls tribe. She never should have been on the Scrolls tribe to begin with, and as far as she's concerned, she's loyal to the spells now. As a show of loyalty, she shares her idol clue with Lim, and they agree that if either of them find the idol, they're going to coordinate on its use. Not long after that, Dodgy, Feya's familiar, digs up the final idol from its hiding spot buried beneath a tree. Feya shows the idol to Lim the Bard, and they decide their next order of business is to find out if the other two idols, the one from the Scrolls Camp and the Swords Camp, if they were ever actually discovered and are actually in play. Feya agrees to talk to the Scrolls, while Lim offers to press the swords for information. Feya goes to talk to Mios first, and Mios says they have no clue if anyone ever found the Scrolls Camp idol. Next, she talks to Droven and Fumbus. Fumbus claims that he's never seen the idol, and Droven states that he's pretty sure Mauricio actually had the idol, but was trying to hold it for later in the game before she got blindsided by the vote from Mios. Feya leaves these conversations with no idea if the idol was ever found or not. Meanwhile, Lim goes to talk to Celtiel, as Celtiel was the leader of the former Swords tribe. Lim reasons that if anyone had found the tribe, Celtiel would surely be aware of it. Lim talks to Celtiel, and Celtiel notes that no one ever discovered any clues about the idol at the Swords tribe beach, so Celtiel speculates that no one was ever able to find it. After a moment of consideration, Lim decides that Celtiel must be telling the truth. Later, Lim and Feya meet back up and discuss what they have learned. They decide that the Swords idol is probably not an issue, but they decide to act as if the Scrolls idol may still be in play. Still, that begs the question, who has the Scrolls idol? Did Mauricio have it? Did Mauricio pass it to someone? If so, who could it be? News of the various idol conversations begins to circulate among all of the players, and slowly everyone comes to the conclusion that the final idol must have been found, even if no one is exactly certain who has it or how they intend to play it. Later that day, the Pathfinder's tribe reports to Challenge Beach, where the time has come to compete in their first individual immunity challenge. The survivors must attempt to hold a beam steady while stacking blocks on the beam that spell out Survivor Mediogalti Island. Now, honestly, none of the players do poorly at this challenge. Everyone is focused and on task, but Sajan still scores a very easy win here, maintaining incredible form and physical control over the course of the challenge, and Sajan gets a healthy round of applause at the end of the game. That night, at Tribal Council, the Pathfinders report so they can decide who the first member of the jury is going to be, and at first the meeting is a surprisingly pleasant affair. The tribe is in good spirits, and the arguments from yesterday when the camp was being set up, those have been quickly forgotten, and they're treating one another very well, and Jeff the Goblin gets caught up in the friendly spirit of the conversation. And as the conversation happens, no one notices the intensity in Kira's eyes. When the time to vote finally comes, Kira immediately stands up and announces that she is ready to use her extra vote. Everyone is quiet. Kira means business. Jeff the Goblin gathers the votes, and no one chooses to play their immunity idol. This causes a few players to shift uncomfortably in their seats. Someone is on the chopping block, and they do not know that they are the target. The final vote is a landslide. Mios, 10 votes, Sione, 3 votes. As the votes quickly pile up, Mios realizes what's happening, looks over at Kira, nods, and says, "I don't know who told you, but very well done." Mios' torch is snuffed, and they exit the game. After the vote, the Pathfinder tribe is walking back to their new camp, and Lim and Celtiel are talking with one another. Kira's extra vote play was extremely unnecessary. The Alliance had already agreed to do what she wanted, and they are frustrated by her unnecessarily wasting the advantage that she had. That night, in the middle of the evening, as most of the Pathfinders are quietly resting in the camp, the Pathfinder camp is suddenly raided by a band of wild pirates wielding clubs and knotted ropes. The attack comes quickly and without warning, and catches the camp entirely off guard. Kira is actually on watch when the attack happens, but unfortunately she doesn't see the pirates coming in and is not able to warn her tribe mates before the attack is already in their midst. Roused in the middle of their sleep, the camp puts up a rather poor defense, with honestly Drugami the leopard being the most useful in trying to chase the pirate raiders away. Some of the Pathfinders sustained minor injuries during the brawl, but when the dust settles, one thing is very evident. The pirates were there for one reason and one reason only: to steal supplies from the camp. And that is where we will leave our story for today. Numerous competitors have been voted off, 3 tribes have been merged into one, and very clear alliances are being formed. Additionally, this marks the second occasion that something severely dangerous has caught the players off guard and left them in a very tenuous situation. How will the Pathfinder tribe respond to the pirate attack? And how will this influence the game going forward? Join us next Monday as the story continues with What If the Pathfinder Iconics Competed on Survivor, episode number 4, The King of the Pathfinders. Until then, let me know what you think of the story so far. Let me know what characters you think are well positioned to ultimately win this game, and let me know which characters you think might be going home soon. Also, if there's something in this story that you think would have played out a little bit differently, be sure to leave that in the comments section as well. I love to hear what you all have to say. Of course, as always, remember to do all that YouTube stuff that supports the channel. Remember to like, share, subscribe. You can check out my free Discord or my Patreon. Those are linked in the video description. And as always, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for being part of the conversation. Have a wonderful day.